secret agent man, secret agent man.
No, I'm just joking. It's me, Charles Williams, from inside the principal's office. And you know what? Even though we as principals often have open door policies, the truth is that what we do is often a mystery to our staff and to our students. That's why this Saturday, June 5th, we're going to do a little something different, and we are going to answer the questions from students all around the world as they ask, what is it that you do as a principal? So join me and my co-host, Michael McWilliams, this Saturday, June 5th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a wonderful conversation about, well, exactly what it is that we as principals do. I hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Michael McWilliams from inside the principal's office, and I want to invite you to join me and my co-host, Charles Williams, this Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all of School Rubric's social media platforms as we answer the question, what do principals really do? We have questions from students from all around the globe. You don't want to miss this conversation. See you there.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Principal's Office. I don't know about you, but I've missed you. It's been a few weeks, I think 3 to be exact, since we have last been together. So I am so happy that we get to be in this space once again together. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you are tuning in from. Very, very excited to be here. My name is Charles Williams, one half of the show that is Inside the Principal's Office. I am, of course, a principal in Chicago. I am the host of the Counter Narrative podcast, founder of CW Consulting, and like I said, one half, because I'm about to pass it over to the other part, to my co-host, to an amazing individual out of Texas, Michael McWilliams. Mike, how are you doing this morning?
Man, I am doing awesome. I enjoy our time together. In 3 weeks is too long. I've been missing you in Chicago. I'm Michael McWilliams. I'm a principal here in North Texas, the founder of the learningleader.live, and I look forward to these opportunities where we get together and we get to have a conversation. Inside the principal office is a safe place. We're building a community of leaders, and I'm excited to be back today. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited about this young man and this young lady who's with us today. We want you to introduce yourselves to us and tell us how you serve kids.
Right. I am Dr. Kyla Prusak. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for having me. It's going to be a fun morning. And I serve at Robertson Elementary in Frisco, Texas. And it's a K-5 school. And I'm just excited to be here and learn alongside you guys this morning.
Excellent. Thank you for being here.
Hey guys, I'm Lee Hole. I'm from Dubai, very warm and humid Dubai at the moment. I'm just wondering who the young man is that you were looking for, Mac. I'm not sure. Call a young man.
It's you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm the head of secondary school at GEMS International School. It is a K through 12 school, but my main role is looking after the grade 6 through grade 12 students. It's an IB continuum school, so we offer the PYP, MYP, and DP. And I'm serving my final few weeks at the school, and I'm then off to Cambodia to take over International School of Phnom Penh as the head of secondary school there. So exciting times ahead for me over the next few weeks.
That's pretty amazing.
Wow. Lee, that is, I can't wait till you get to Cambodia, and I want to see the new space. I know that you and I, we've connected actually, right? You were like one of the first people on this show when we started off. So happy to have you back, and definitely looking forward to connecting with you when you are in Cambodia. Now, I don't know about you all, and I'm sure it's the case, but whenever I am having a rough day at school, I refuel by walking throughout the building, by connecting with my students and just interacting with them, right? It refuels me. It gives me a reason, once again, like this is why we do what we do. And that is exactly what we're doing today. So we are taking questions from students as they ask, like, what do you do? Can you tell us about your job? And it's very interesting because a lot of times we're a mystery to them. We are that person in the building, but it's like, we don't know much about what you do, except for you just happen to be everywhere and you're doing everything. So looking very forward to this conversation today. And so we're going to have a couple videos from students. We're going to give responses, and I cannot wait for our very first video coming out of Dubai. Let's cue it up. Let's see what she has to say.
Hi, my name is Kyla from Jebs International School, and I wanted to ask how you deal with situations where you're emotionally connected to a student, but you still want to hold them accountable as a principal.
Challenging question. And for those of us who are like parents, it's the same thing, right? So Kyla, curious about your thoughts on this question.
I love this question. And obviously my perspective, I immediately go to my little 5-year-old kindergartners, right? Because they're some of the most fun kids to connect with. But I think it goes back to relationships. When you are invested in a child and you know something about them personally, or you've supported them through their journey, and maybe this isn't the first interaction you've had when bad choices have happened, I think it's easier to connect emotionally with them. And so I actually find that it's the kids who I am invested in and who I have that relationship with, that it kind of makes it a little easier to say, you know, I know you and I know this is not the best version of you. And when you say that to a kid, they immediately turn around because they feel empowered and they know you believe in them.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you that idea that it's like, yeah, I'd rather work with a student that I have a connection with, a strong connection with. It just makes things a little bit easier. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Kyla's absolutely right. And I think it is. I actually think it's easier to hold kids accountable if you're emotionally connected to them. I think flipping the question on its head a little bit, I'd say I think I find it harder when a student's brought to me, or I have to have a conversation with a student that I haven't had an opportunity to connect with yet. We get a lot of new students joining our school regularly. As an international school, Dubai's quite a transient place. So when a kid's in my office and something's happened, and it doesn't always have to be a behavior issue, but something comes in and I need to have a chat with them, I need to spend time with them to make those emotional connections before you can actually really start to have an impact. So it's very often it's about, hey, what's going on? Tell me what caused this? Why did you make that choice? Why did you behave like that? What's happening in your life at the moment? And I think the difficulty is trying to make that emotional connection, particularly if you're in a situation where you've got to make it quickly, and you've got to try to make that emotional connection so you can address whatever it is that's going on in that young person's life. But yeah, Kyla was right on the money for me. It's if you do know that child really well, you can say, listen, I know that you're about this, and I know that you pride yourself on this part of your character. So this goes against everything that I know about you. So again, what's going on? Talk to me a little bit more. So yeah, the emotional connections are so important. And I would say that's the same with teachers as well, right? It's the same with teachers and other leaders, having that emotional connection to them so that you know what's going on. If they're a little down, or so you're getting some feedback about them, emotional connections become so important there. And then that has that knock-on effect to you as a principal. Sometimes you're dealing with so many emotions that actually having people as an outlet for you is an important thing as well. So yeah, it's a good question to kick us off, and emotions really are so important when you're working in a people-based organization, eh?
Yeah, I think accountability is very important. And I tell students all the time, you know, you can boil my job down to two basic functions. I have to make sure that everyone is safe, and I have to make sure that everyone is learning every single day. At our school, I talk about mission on our announcements every morning. And a part of our mission is the big three. And the big three at our campus is be safe, be kind, be ready to learn. So when I have those conversations with kids, you know, because we talk about mission all of the time, I start asking those questions, you know, be safe, be kind, be ready to learn. You know, have you done those things today? And I really give kids an opportunity, instead of me just talking to them, I make them hold themselves accountable. Were you safe? Were you kind? Were you ready to learn? Which one of those things were you not doing? And I let them hold themselves accountable to, hey, we say that we come to this building every day, and these are the 3 things that we're going to do. So I hold them accountable, and I let them tell me, you know, judge what we say that we would do every day, judge your choices to that, and you tell me, you reflect, and you tell me what you've done, and you tell me what you need to do to correct the situation.
So, I also wanted to jump in on this one. The idea here, right? We've talked about that it makes it easier to hold students accountable when you're emotionally connected.
Mhm.
But the other thing is, oftentimes you have less issues when you are emotionally connected because students don't want to disappoint you. They don't want to upset you. So simply by having those connections, by simply building that rapport with students, it's kind of like, I don't want to upset Mr. Williams or Mr. McWilliams or whoever it may be. So I'm going to hold myself accountable to the highest of standards. And so I know we've talked a little bit about those students that we don't have connections with. So it's a mental reminder, like, we got to make sure that we're building connections with every single student and Lee, like you said, staff member in our building, because it just makes things easier.
Right. Every kid, every day, every staff member, every day, most definitely. This conversation is so very rich. We're going to jump in because we have lots of questions from all over the globe this morning. And we're going to go to question 2 from Oliver, right here in the state of Texas.
Okay, so my name is Oliver Guerrero. I'm a 4th grade student here at Robertson Elementary, and the question I have for you is, what day have you had the most kids sent to the principal's office for bad behavior?
I love kids. I love kids. Me in Dubai, do kids have to come to the office?
I love the way that guy opens up the question. Okay, I'm coming at you now. I've got a question. It's strange that the students think about behavior so much, right? That coming to the principal's office is just about behavior. I can't think of a particular day where I had like a revolving door of students coming in for behavior issues or anything like that. But I have had days where you feel like you're firefighting, and you go in and you've got a list of things that you think you're going to get done. And then you look up, the last person walks out your office and you look up, it's 3:00 and you just think, I got nothing done today. Right. And I worked with a really inspirational school leader called Dr. David Ottaviano when I first joined the school that I'm at now. And I once said to him, I walked in and I said, all I've done is fire for all day. That's all I've been doing is fighting fires. I have got nothing done today. And he said, that's where you're wrong. He said, they're the days where you've got most done, because you've spent time with people and you've helped people through difficult situations, you've solved problems, you've connected. So again, going back to that first question, and he said, don't ever feel like you're not getting anything done just because you feel like you're fighting fires. So I'm sorry, I think Oliver, right? I'm sorry, Oliver, I haven't got a particular day I can think of, but those days do come where it's just a revolving door. And I've had people sat with me sometimes working through something, and then just the doors knocking, people are coming in and they're like, is it like this every day? Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's for me. That would I do get days like that for sure.
I cheat a little bit here, and so I have to say thank you to my dean, Mr. Quinn, because it's rare that students are in my office. Typically they're going to his office, which is great. But I will say this is that he really dislikes dress down days. So we're a uniform school, and something happens when it's like, hey, you get to wear whatever you want. And then they're like, oh. And so he always says, can we please not do any more of those? But of course it's like, no, that's fun, right? We're building that culture. We're building, the energy and excitement. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but they stop to him before they get to me. So sorry, Mr. Quinn, but those typically are roughest days. And it's just because kids are so excited, and it's nothing major, but those are typically our roughest days.
Yeah, I always say Friday afternoon, Friday at 2:00, which is the hour before we get out. And I always try to remind teachers, like, be mindful on Friday afternoons or the day before a Thanksgiving break or a winter break, because some kids may be experiencing anxiety or fear or any emotions before they're going to be away from us. And so really be mindful of what could be the cause of that behavior.
Right. I say the same thing. When kids are getting ready to leave us, and it's because we're so important to them, when that structure of school is about to change. And then if you think about it, in some of our schools, kids, they know they're going to get a hot breakfast, they're going to get a hot lunch. There's rules. Kids want boundaries, no matter what they say. They really want boundaries. So when they know that they're leaving the safe haven that we create every single day, that's generally when I see kids coming to the office for behavior issues. I will say this to the young man, Oliver, that asked this questions. As principals, we want kids to come to the office for reasons other than bad behavior. And sometimes we have teachers on point systems. It's amazing. I had a kid this year that used his dojo points and banked them because in his classroom, one of the things that he could purchase was the opportunity to come to the office and the principal call his dad to talk about his behavior choices and that he did good things. So we're really trying to be innovative. And I want Oliver to know that you can come to the principal's office for something other than bad behavior. We want you to read to us, and we want to celebrate all of your success and you reaching all of your goals too.
I think that raises a really important point though, Mac, about there are kids out there that just that want the attention. And I know that when I worked back in the UK, worked in a particular area and male role models were quite hard to come by. So some of the young boys in particular would kick off and cause problems because they wanted the attention of the male teachers. And that became their only way of getting it. So I think, again, if we can flip the script and change that narrative for those young people and kind of encourage ourselves to have more conversations with kids when they're making good choices and doing great things, then hopefully that then builds a positive cycle where they're coming to your office for those positive things rather than only being brought to you when they're being forced to because they've done something wrong.
Right, because I think that we've all had that experience with a parent where, you know, the dad is coming in and the dad has anxiety. You know, I've had parents say that, oh my God, in the principal's office, I can't remember anything good happening in the principal's office. I get that all of the time. So we really do need to change the narrative that the principal's office, principal, P-A-L, right? That's how you remember to spell it. We can be your pal. You can have positive experiences in our offices as well.
You are all absolutely right. I love the fact I always tell students, if you're in my office, it's either because A, you're coming down to have a little bit of fun with me, or like you've already seen the dean and so now it's really, really bad. So we've really shifted it from that end to this end. So now it's like, hey, I'm going to stop down. I keep peppermints on my desk. It's a weird thing now. I've done for years and they love just coming to get peppermints. Or after recess, they're like, Mr. Williams, you got that deodorant spray, right? Here, buddy. Like we just, you know, they pop in for everything. And my secretary is always like, hey, wait. He might be busy. I'm like, no. Come on in. What do you need? But you're right. It changes the culture of the school just simply by being us. So before we continue on, a couple of things. First of all, we want to recognize everybody who is stopping by to check in with us, watching the show right now. We love all the comments popping in. I saw Lindsay, I saw Rebecca. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for being here. We love your comments. Keep the comments coming. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop those. And if time permits, we'll try to jump over to those as well. But the best part is that these conversations don't just stay in this space because we could connect in other places as well. So please make sure that you are liking and subscribing to School Rubric so that way we could continue these conversations outside of this show. Now, it is time for question number 3 coming from Dubai as well. So let's see what we have here.
Hello, my name is Hania Fuad. I'm from GEMS International School, and I was wondering, what is one thing that you do to ensure teacher motivation?
Teacher motivation. I'm sure that you do a phenomenal job, especially since I saw Linda's comments on Twitter. No, I'm joking, Linda. I still love you. So Matt, I'm going to turn this over to you.
I think that well, this is my philosophy. I'm the old cat on this broadcast. I've been a principal like 21 years. Wow. I know I look young. But 21 years I've been a principal. And one of the things that I've developed and I understand about teachers is that I didn't stop teaching. I'm still a teacher. I'm a teacher of teachers. So I motivate teachers by doing for them everything that I ask them to do for students. So I keep them motivated by engaging them in the learning community, not only as a teacher, but as a learner. You know, I said earlier that my job is to make sure that everyone is safe and that everyone is still learning, that students are learning, teachers are learning, staff members are learning, even the parents have a learning track on our campus because students learn more when teachers learn more. So it is my responsibility to ensure that teachers are learning and that the same concepts that I'm asking them to use to engage students. I have to make sure that there is a teacher component. You know, if there's SEL for students, there's SEL for teachers, restorative practices for students, restorative practices for teachers. Get this, if kids are setting goals and in charge of their learning, guess what? We have to motivate teachers the same way. They should be setting goals. And having the same support systems that kids have. So that's how I motivate them. I try to motivate them by realizing that they're my students and I'm responsible for their learning and growth. And I have to do for them what I ask them to do for kids.
That's a great perspective.
I love that, Michael. I'm kind of with you on that one. It's just like, I tell teachers, I tell my staff all the time, I genuinely love driving to work every single morning. Mm-hmm. Now, when I leave, I'm spent, but I can't wait at the excitement and energy every morning. And so I try to exude that excitement and that passion, because if I'm walking the halls and excited and smiling and saying good morning and motivated to have a great day, it's going to help them, right? And then it's going to help their students. And so I think just being that lead example in all aspects, lead learner, lead motivator, just the passionate person that's there. We are lucky to get to do this work, and it's the hardest job. And there's days when we all feel that feeling of being just completely spent. But at the end of the day, we've got to remind each other and hold each other accountable that we are lucky to get to do this work. So, and just learning from each other, getting on group chats and Facebook pages, because there's principals sharing motivation ideas all the time. And so that really helps me find ideas.
Right. And I think one of your staff member, your Amen Corners here, she says, yes, she does. We talk every morning and she's always celebrating her staff. That's right. We set the weather. The principal sets the weather in the school every morning.
Absolutely. Mac, I love the fact that you talked about, you're treating your teachers in the same way that we have those expectations for students. And it is one of the things that has baffled me in a lot of these leadership spaces. I'm like, why do we ignore the staff, or why do we hold expectations for how they should react or interact with students? And yet we don't model that same thing for them, And so I want to take it a step further. The other thing I do is whatever I ask of you, know that I'm going to be willing to do the same thing. Right. If I ask you to be outside and, monitoring students during recess, know that you're going to see me outside monitoring students. If I ask you to take care of the building, know that you'll see me walking down the hallway and picking up garbage. Right. It is something that I believe if I'm going to ask of you, then I need to be willing to do it myself. So, that just, for me, that sends a sense of motivation. It's like, okay, he's not just, throwing things out there. This is something he truly believes in. This is something that he truly wants us to do, and he's willing to do it himself. So I love the fact that you talked about that.
Right. The only thing I'd add from my kind of setup is that I think culture and context becomes a big thing here as well. I work in a extremely multicultural school. We have 90 different nationalities in our school. On the largest demographic is only 16% of the population. So culture and context becomes huge. And it's the same with the staff. Some staff will really, really appreciate a public acknowledgement, public thank you. And other staff will just find that the most cringeworthy, most intimidating thing that you could do for them. So a gentle word in the ear, or a personal thank you, a cup of coffee, a small box of chocolates, a pack of biscuits, anything like that. So I think knowing staff and knowing the differences is a big thing as well. And the cultural thing for me was a big learning curve, in that some staff, there are certain things culturally that carry a lot of weight for certain demographic of people. And an acknowledgement to their line manager is huge. It's a real big deal for certain members of our staff. But like I said, for other people, it's please don't do that. Come and just say thank you to me personally. I'll appreciate that much more. And I think the other thing for motivation is engaging and advocating for ownership. If you give people freedom over what they're looking after, and you give them that level of ownership, it's yours. And again, that was brought to me as a secondary school principal. When I joined the school, they said, that's your school, that's your secondary school, so you make it what you want. And then I've tried to, wherever I can, is kind of push that down into the teams. It's your math department, it's your science department, it's your English department. That's your grade level you're looking after. So what direction do you want to go in? And then just being there and being that kind of thinking buddy for them is a big deal as well. But ownership is massive for me. And if you can get that in your students and in your faculty, then you're onto a winner.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That voice is so very important, to know that their voice is heard, and that they do have that their opinion actually counts for something at work. Let's move on. We have 2 more questions, and let's jump into question number 4, all the way from Illinois. Miss Mia has a question for you, smart ones.
Hello, my name is Mia Stewart. I am a 3rd grader who attends Plato Academy. I have a 2-part question for you principals. The first part is, was being a principal your dream job? And the second part is, how long has it been your dream job? Have a nice day.
Oh, Miss Mia, she's a future journalist. She had her notes. She wanted to make surely that you heard everything and that she said everything that she needed to say. So talk to us about, are you living the dream?
So it certainly is for me. I mean, I from being a 12-year-old boy, I remember I stepped into secondary school in the UK, and I met my first PE teacher. I'm going to give him a shout on here. John Burton. John Burton was my first ever PE teacher. He was the inspiration behind me becoming a teacher. And the thing for me was, it wasn't even what he did in the classroom. It was what he did outside the classroom. It was everything that he put into the young people that he worked with, the extracurricular stuff. He was a PE teacher, so extracurricular was massive. And when I saw that, it was the job I wanted from being 12 years old. I made some poor choices when I left school and went into a different industry and then came back to it. But being a teacher was my dream job. And that's the one thing about being a principal that breaks my heart a little bit, is that I'm not in a classroom every day, working with kids every day in that way. And being a principal, it's not your dream job when you're pulled away from kids. The more I'm able to spend time with students, the more it's a dream job. And when it becomes, when that's taken away, that's horrible. And that's when it's not a dream job. So I do everything I can to try and seize as many opportunities as I can to be with students. And at the moment, we're going through a tough time with COVID regulations, and our school environment is real difficult. Kids aren't able to make those connections with each other because they're told they've got to be so many meters away from each other, and you've got to have your mask on, and you can't breathe on each other, you can't share things, you can't do things. And so it's a lot of that's been taken away. So that's, for me, that's what's made the last 18 months so difficult, is those connections with kids. So yes, I am living the dream. It is a dream job and I do love it, but I love it. The more I get to spend time with young people, the more I enjoy my job.
Yes. Lee, I loved your response. I always tell people when they ask, right? I love it when teachers are like really excited. They're like, tell me about how you got into education, and they're expecting this thing. And the truth is, education was not my first career choice, right? I kind of fell into it, and people are like, wait a minute, but you're running a school. Like, how is that possible? But, I fell into it. I had an opportunity to start working with students, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And you're absolutely right. I really despise this job when I'm in my office working on budgets and doing reports and just sending off email. Like, I hate those days. And those are the days when I get out and start like, you know what? No, I'm done for the day. I'm going to go sit in the classroom. I'm going to go do recess duty. I'm going to go sit in the cafeteria, because that is the part that I love about this job. It's being with my students, being with my kids. And Mia here is one of my 3rd graders. Phenomenal student. In fact, she is going to the nationals for this invention convention for something that she has created. And it's those opportunities, the time that she took to explain it to me and show it to me, like, that is the part that I love, right? I don't like sitting in my office. I don't like doing all of those things. It comes with the territory. But you're absolutely right. So right now, being a principal is a phenomenal opportunity, so long as we get to reconnect with students. Lee, I just had to echo that.
I'm with Lee. I always dreamed of being a teacher. I think it was bred into me. I come from a long line on both sides of educators. And And I can remember as a kid, I would just watch my teacher, watch her like walk around the room, watch her grade papers, or, you know, I've just always looked at teachers as just these like amazing human beings. And so it wasn't until I became a teacher and got to learn from my incredible principal and assistant principal that I thought, I want to do that work, you know? And so I think it's just when you see somebody do it and make an impact, it lights that fire even more to keep continuing to grow in your own profession.
I've always wanted to be a principal. I was really impacted by Thelma Brown. She was my 6th grade teacher, and we are friends on Facebook. We still communicate. And she impacted me so, and I'm one of those people, you know, because of our relationship, I didn't want to just be a teacher in the 6th grade. I said, I am going to be a principal. So that was like, I never changed. I think at first I said I was going to be a middle school principal. So I adjusted that a little bit. But that's why 25 years into education, I've been in administration 21 years of my 25-year career, because that was always an area of passion for me, just the leadership of it. I have a personal mission statement, and my personal mission statement is that I know I exist to help equip and empower others to be the best version of themselves. And I do that through learning and through education. So most definitely, I am living my dream, and I've loved, you know, I definitely love the connections with people, with staff, parents, kids. I'm with you guys. I don't like the budget, and I get bogged down in emails. I can get about 100 emails a day.
Just 100.
But most definitely, you know, just being there with those 5-year-olds in kindergarten, and oh my goodness, next year we're getting pre-K. So I have 4-year-olds in the building. Whenever you're having a bad day or need a break, you just go down to kindergarten, and it just reminds you of why you do this work and why it's so important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have come up to the last question. I can't believe that we've already gone through all of these, but we are coming up to our last question here. And this comes from Georgia, from Texas. Not Texas from Georgia, but Georgia out of Texas. So let's cue it up.
What I wonder about being a principal, is it hard whenever kids are making sad choices, and is it fun to be a principal?
Sad choice. I like that. Sad choices, not bad choices, but sad choices. So Mac, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, it's always hard when you believe, when you see kids that you're connected to do something that they know that they shouldn't do. But what we have to do is we have to realize this. I like sad choices, and I talk a lot about choices when kids come to the office, because what we have to understand is that we are serving kids. Come on, y'all. They're not adults. And a lot of times we talk to kids like you are an adult that really knew better. No, we're teaching choices and decision making. So we have to understand that even when they're in our office, that it's a teachable moment. It is let's give the child an opportunity to reflect, and let's make sure that they do the work, not just to receive a consequence. It's not about receiving a consequence. It's about teaching them to reflect on what they did and what they need to do the next time. Because wow, you're all of what, 9? You're 9 years old. You're going to make sad choices. So it's hard. But we just have to make sure that we do what we've been called to do for kids, and that's to teach them and to train them to make better choices. So the choices you were making in 1st grade, we should be talking about different choices in 3rd grade, because we handled that, and you now have the strategies that you need to do that. So each year you may have to deal with something, but we need to know that we're teaching them. They're not adults.
Michael, I'll add on to that with the parent piece, because, you know, I know there's some new administrators on this call that have chimed in the chat, and, you know, it's hard to make those calls. It's still sometimes hard to make those calls to parents when you're having to let them know about a behavior or something that their child did. And I always tell the parents, hey, look, we want them to make these mistakes in elementary school when they're surrounded by the support system at school and at home. And so when you say that to parents, that one little sentence, it just, you can feel over the phone that they're like, okay, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have to advocate for my middle schoolers as well. I really get frustrated when people say, hey, he's going through his terrible twos, so it's okay, he can smash things, he can scream, he can cry. Or then a person goes through the midlife crisis and buys a Harley Davidson when they've got no right buying a Harley Davidson. A kid at 14, 15 that's got so much going on in their body, in their minds, in their lives. We just seem to expect them to be young adults. And there's a lot going on in middle schoolers. So parents out there and potential leaders, give the middle school kids some slack. They're going to make mistakes. They've got a lot going on in their lives, and they'll come through it. They'll be amazing young adults if you just bear with them.
That's right, Lee. And you know what I want everyone on this line to think about? What were you like?
Yeah.
We won't talk about my 7th grade year. We won't talk about it. But sometimes when we deal with kids, we have to remember, what were you doing? What choices were you doing when you were 12 years old?
Absolutely. And we talk about these sad choices, which was the first part of the question. And so I absolutely agree, right? The idea of understanding students, but I also want to tackle the second part of Georgia's question is it fun being a principal? And I will tell you, Georgia, most of the time it is absolutely a blast, and we make it fun. I know my teachers, and I say this all the time, and my wife, who's a teacher, is like, I would be so upset with you. I treat it a lot of times like being a grandparent, right? I go in, I have a blast. The kids get all riled up and I'm like, all right, have a great day. And I'm out. And the teacher's like, what did you just do? But it is so much fun connecting with students. And I mean, it's, I guess, part of the job, right? And teachers, I'm sorry for whenever I do that, but we're just having fun.
Right. It's fun connecting with kids. And, it's fun connecting with the adults in the building too. And recognizing, I think every administrator has to recognize that you influence the adults in your building just as much as you do the kids. And so we really have to be very intentional in every interaction that we have, even with the adults. Because think about this, no one ever walks away from an interaction and says, oh, that's a neutral, that was neutral.
Mm-hmm.
You're either impacting people positively or negatively. So when we deal with the adults, when we deal with the staff members, the teachers, the custodians, the cafeteria workers, how we engage them impacts our kids. So I think that's important for us to recognize as well. This has been so fun today. We've learned so much. This is one of my favorite parts of the show because it's a call to action. It is we've sat around for 40 minutes and we've had great conversation, but our job is to help empower again and equip administrators, teacher leaders. So today, what can we do? Let's think about next year. Let's think about what behaviors we can do. Our question today is ideas that stick. How will you connect with your students next year? How will you connect with your students next year? And I am going to go first. And I would say that every kid, every day, they need to see my face and they need to hear my voice every single day. This past year, we moved to announcements. We used to have teams of kids doing announcements, but this year with not being able to co-mingle, I took control of announcements and I did them every day and I did them on Facebook for parents. And I noticed a huge difference in the way that kids responded to me and even teachers because they have seen my face, heard my voice every single day. So just making sure that I find those opportunities every single day through announcements and other means where I'm by classrooms every day in the cafeteria. I know that every person in my building needs to see my face and hear my voice every single day.
Absolutely.
Lee, what's your idea that sticks?
I'm next time. Well, I guess for me, I'm in a transition period, so I'm joining a new school next year. So the thing for me is I know that young people will protect the things that they value. So I've got a bit of a sense that the new school's got quite a good social media presence, and there's a student voice within that social media. So I'm already so excited to see the sort of things that they're advocating for and the very real world stuff that those students over at International School of Phnom Penh have in their hearts. So I'm going to spend some time getting to know the kids, finding out what it is that they value so I can help them protect it at the school. And hopefully there'll be things that align with the school mission, vision, and the direction that the teachers and leaders are trying to take the school in. So get to know the kids, get to know what they value, and help them to protect it and make it stronger. And hopefully they'll be part of the solution to the school improvement or school development rather than part of the problem.
Excellent. Kyla?
Okay, so I am going to connect back to what we talked about earlier with make sure that you're willing to do everything you ask your teachers to do. And I know at my school, teachers do daily lunch duty. And so all the teachers, you're going to love this one. Principals and leaders schedule days to go in and cover lunch duty for teachers. They love it. It helps motivate them and energize them. And it gives you so much time to just walk around and talk to kids, get to know kids. You learn a lot about a kid based on what they bring in their lunch. Mm-hmm. And so, so schedule days and make sure that you go cover teacher lunch duty.
You just got so many points from so many people. You're like the favorite from this cast today. This panel, you just made it to the winner's circle.
So I want to close this one out with this idea that I have learned that, some amazing things about my students, just being able to connect with them. And so what I really want to do is I want to kick it up a notch, right? I want to carve out time where they teach the principal, where they sit down and tell me, this is a passion. This is something I love to do, because they always love seeing me try to do those things, right? Whether it's a TikTok dance, or whether it's jumping rope on the playground, or just anime. Right? Not only do they love seeing me try to do these things and oftentimes failing miserably, but it's allowing me to learn more about them and connecting with them. And so I'm really looking forward to this. It's just giving them time to say, hey, teach me something that you love to do. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens next year.
Please record yourself. I want to see video footage of all these.
Yeah, especially the TikTok dances. We need to see those.
Yeah. I was gonna say this is gonna become a new mini series. Like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna embarrass myself. Well, everyone, I want to say thank you for everyone being here. We have come to the end of the show, but before we close, before we wrap up, just a few reminders. Don't forget, as I said earlier, this conversation cannot be contained in the 45 minutes that we have here. So make sure that you join the Facebook group. Please make sure that you join us and continue these conversations. We want to hear your voice. We want to continue that conversation, and not just about this topic, but about anything that you might be wanting to share or you want feedback on. As Max said earlier, this is a safe space, a community of school leaders for us to come together. So please make sure that you join the Facebook group. Also, don't forget, I know that there was 3 weeks since our last episode. Promise we're not doing that one now. Our next episode is on the 19th. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that summer slide, making sure that we're able to best support our students during the break, because we know it's real. We know what happens. So how can we support our students? And last but not least, I can't imagine. This is just a little over a month away, and super excited. Guys, Dallas is happening. Right, we've said this, we've announced it. Please make sure that if you're in the Dallas area, or heck, even if you're somewhere else, fly in. I mean, I am. Join us in Dallas for a day of learning and growing together. This is not your usual workshop where you're just going to be sitting there bored, doodling on your. I mean, this is going to be engaging, fun, and interactive. If you think this is awesome, wait till you get to spend a day with me and Mac.
It's going to be great.
So, you know what, Kyla, Lee, I want to say thank you for being in this space with us. I love connecting with you. Lee, it was great to connect with you again. Kyla, it was a pleasure connecting with you this time around.
Thank you guys for having us.
Dr. Kyla, are we going to see you? You don't have to drive far. Are we going to see you on the 30th? And the 30th?
I will be in Dallas, and I am going to be recruiting some of my Frisco peeps. I'm going to be bringing them with me.
And because the great thing about this is you're going to walk away with things that you can immediately implement, and you're going to walk away with connections and a network where, as you're trying these things, you're going to make so many connections of people to call. How's this working for you? You know, it's not a one and done. It is, we are building a community of leaders, and that excites me so much.
Absolutely. So we want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in today. We appreciate you. We love that you're connecting in these spaces, and we hope to see you again for our future episodes. And don't forget, come join us in Dallas. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday, and we'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching School Rubric on YouTube. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe in order to stay looped in on all of our diverse collection of shows, interviews, panels, tutorials, and more from educators around the globe. And visit us at schoolrubric.com for even more great content, such as our online articles, Interact magazine, featured podcasts, and more. Thank you.